Okay, so still not doing the golden ending or true ending, whatever the actual word is. Just more, just unlocking more stories. I didn't feel like turning on a fighting game, or I'm gonna play DFO, just not now. Just not right now.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple
Damn it, I
had
forgot
risen
some
out
of
of
the else I
empty
did
desert.
last time.
The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescue. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And
Yeah,
he had a
Lapino's
gut
a
feeling
fuckboy.
that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, fuck. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I can check. Right. Find the amateur concord. Attack the alpha. Is there another one I'm saying? Scientific council. So I could probably do more of these routes actually. Rescue the Pino, find the gold. Damn. Let's see more of these fucking Lapino routes.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause. And maybe Renato could use that somehow.
I don't like any of these Lapino routes because they shouldn't happen.
Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold it.
If we're being real, no Lapino route should ever happen. Like the other shit, you make sense, you make mistakes. But like Lapino routes, like after the first time, like nah, bro, I'm just gonna leave you. Bro, I can't even say I'm gonna leave you to die because he's not gonna die. He's in cahoots with the Ravens.
Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
Yeah, I knew it was fucking team for that. That's a random ass achievement, by the way. Oh shit. I'm dying. Oh, I'm still.
My God. It's full of stars.
Okay. We killing them this time.
never frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Reynardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice. Reynardo looked around the empty village and reflected. The Sky Ripper had turned out to be far too dangerous to be used. Time to turn to what he knew best.
But yeah, back talking about Lapino, no Sky Ripper route, no Lapino route should ever happen, because like, you know he's gonna backstab you, and you know that there is no point in saving him because there is no saving him. He's just chilling there. He's just chilling there, smoking weed. Alright.
Whose was? Not really much to say. In the air.
And also, I love that too. The narrator commenting on what he is doing things that so. It reminds me of Bastion.
Ravens were landing everywhere.
I said that before.
The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Well, unless he really was a traitor. Obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest. Lapino would betray him. But now Reynardo knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that Lapino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? Use Lapino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in his face.
Yeah, like that's a hint to push me towards the chewing right there.
And that would be a first.
What am I doing?
Haven't you always wanted to do that?
What's up with this? Very big ass, eh?
Dirty and bloody, Reynardo finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Reynardo recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. We capture Zenobia.
Okay, so
find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and his only daughter? That would be worth it. And it would be nice to see her. He always had a soft spot for her. And, he felt sure, she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Yeah, this is the annoying part. So
Zenobia wasn't just...
like, there are so many routes I have to do to get every ending.
The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency.
So this time I have to choose to capture.
Reynardo shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Would he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty.
your aerobics craze. Am I right?
Yeah, I really like this Void Sword. My first time out playing the game, I still like it now. It's a really simple effect. It's just really cool. It speeds up your attack speed, your wing speed, all that good stuff. And I have another buff on me that boosts my attack speed too. It just makes things snappy. But the Ice Sword, that's definitely broken. Like if I was actually trying to speed run the game right now, I would just stay on Ice Sword. Like once I got it to level 2, max it out, I would just stay on Ice Sword. So long, bitch boy.
You couldn't hack this kind of firewall. You had to warm it up to you.
I like the Fire Sword, even if it's a bit outclassed by the other swords. Damn, that hurt. I'll probably play this for like an hour or two and then go play DFO because I am getting more hang of that. I started finally using Shao Dancer Second Awakening. The input for that is, man, that character's gonna have some hard combos when I start doing it, man. When I actually start doing like raids and shit, that's just hard.
Urging him to catch us in
Finger. I think I need to get the first pad.
But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. There's some way to play him, I'd have thought.
Jumping down sewers on my Ninja Turtle shit. Dungeon Fighters are pretty nice thing to have in my rotation right now because it's another game. It's a game for me to grind without feeling pressure to it. So like playing plus R, I do feel like the pressure to get better because eventually the player base will be the player base as a whole will be competent, and I can't just hop on and beat people up. Not that winning matters to me that much. I just enjoy playing good to good. But you know, you want to actually get dubs sometimes, you know. With Dungeon Fighter, I can just go at my own pace, have fun, grind some things. Like I've been grinding in Palace on and off for like
this
a couple
plan
months now.
of yours?
Just get money.
Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan.
I'm gonna go with the plan this
geese,
time.
a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire. Lupino dressing as an old blind
This description
toad,
alone, this is kind of plan I would come up
hiding
with.
inside
I would make a
monstrous
plan like
watermelon.
this.
What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renata.
I would make a plan like this, man.
Oh, this is going to be fun, said Lupino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan.
Like we setting shit on fire, that's some shit I do. Where did he even go, bro?
It was time for a little exploration.
It's kind of fucked up. He wrote her a letter to apologize to her as he sacrificed her. So they're kind of lucky. She's kind of lucky this happened. Okay, so I'm tired of this shit. We're freezing me.
Renato felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Peppino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renato jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat.
See what?
Renato, she said. Are those new scars?
The fucking watermelon, man.
They look good on you. You never return my velvet jacket. It was my favorite. You look stupid in velvet. Oh, what does an imperial princess know about style? Oh, get a room, you two, said Lupino, probably sensing the chemistry. But the fleet was coming on fast, so they took Zenobia east, over the Nexus. She'd vanished from Swordfish School, from his life, without even saying goodbye. Without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter. Renato was aware of her feelings. Maybe this was a bad idea. But was he letting his own feelings get the better of him?
Okay, now, okay, so that's a tough thing about this game, man. I know that no matter what I choose, there's no good ending.
Listen, said Renato. Let's not do this. Let's not do what? Asked Zenobia. Look. You're the Emperor's right hand. You were going to have me interrogated. I said, sure, yeah, but then I remembered how you feel about me. How I feel about you. You were going to have me interrogated, but I didn't. Because you care about me, said Renato. Well, guess again, Buster.
Oh, wait, no.
Said as he pushed off his own boat as he plummeted towards the bottomless clouds of the abyss. Renato decided that he
what was
handled the situation with his usual finesse.
Bro, you could have at least stopped her from like
he had
pushing
tried
her
something
off.
bold and paid the price for it.
Bro, I ain't mad at her. I'm mad at you. You hoe ass nigga.
The city was already under
And I
Zenobia's
gotta
control.
do all this shit again.
He had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this
Okay,
was
so
war.
I've learned my lesson.
It wasn't meant to be pretty. This was the nice part of town. But the ravens had been through here. They like to take shiny things home to their nests.
Okay, yeah, I got my upgrade. That's all that matters. These levels aren't that long anyway. Oh.
Why was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. And there must be some way to play on that, Renato thought. These things could really use a hand.
I just like opening chests, bro. I'm sorry.
So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfair a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Reynardo hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Reynardo. Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lupino, as he ran to go set up his marvelous plan.
So again, like, I gotta ask, the fuck are they doing with this watermelon?
Brilliant. Lovely. Hold that pose. Reynardo felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. She'd vanished from swordfish school, from his life, without even saying goodbye. Without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter, Reynardo was aware of her feelings. Maybe this was a bad idea, but was he letting his own feelings get the better of him? Ah, Lupino was right, Reynardo thought reluctantly. She knows things. She recognized his look. You're taking me to the interrogators, aren't you? She said, wide-eyed. And then she jumped, with horror. Reynardo saw Zenobia plummeting. Then he saw the nexus below them. Cats always land on their feet. Oh, she'll head for the Imperial outpost, yelled Lupino. You have to catch her. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. If he ran, he could head her off before she reached her minions at the outpost. Well, he did love a good chase.
Shout out to Ronaldo, haul ass. Haul ass after the hole.
There was a sign. Take the goat across first. Traitors! Caught the ravens.
I gotta do more strides and shit. I'm not getting enough experience. I'm not starting to look at it. I might have to stop the stream early because I do.
He smelled her fear. He tried not to think about the interrogators at the secret base. What did they do to her? Maybe it didn't have to end that way. Maybe he could talk to her. But after all, there were worse things the Imperials had done to friends of his. reached the outpost. The Imperials there were no match for him. Soon after, Zenobia limped up the path. When she realized he was already in front of her, she didn't even try to run. Oh, you left without saying goodbye. Again, he said, please. I'm enjoying this a little too much, she said, shaken. Oh, spare us the chit-chat, would you? Said Lapino as he shackled her hands so she couldn't throw spells. She knows all his plans. All the way back to the Farfair, Lapino nagged Renato about how the interrogators would pry all the intel out of Zenobia. How that would turn the tides in the imminent battle. All they had to do was take her to the rebels' secret base. Renato didn't like to think about what the interrogators would do to her. Couldn't he just talk to her? As they reached the ruins, Renato could see ravens everywhere, searching for the rebel base. They'd have to hide the Farfarer or go on foot. What if we get separated? Asked Lapino, for once thinking ahead. I'll show you a map to the base. Renato told Lapino. Renato, don't do this, then Zenobia. We were friends once. We... Shut it, witch, or I'll shackle your mouth too, said Lapino. See? Renato thought. There was no way Lapino was working for the Empire. He really hated Zenobia. And then, a few moments later, he touched down. As Lapino pulled Zenobia off the Farfarer, Renato readied himself for the battle ahead. I'm sorry I nicked your jacket, she said. It's just... It's stupid, but it smelled like you. What? He said, confused. Then... Why didn't you write? Why didn't you first speak? Oh, save the romantic nostalgia. Let's go! Shrieked Lapino. So Renato launched himself down the path to the secret base.
To the secret base.
His mother never let him wave his sword around at home. I guess he was still compensating for that.
Man, playing this game makes me want the homicide game. I'll do that eventually too. Don't know if I should. What am I doing?
Renato had misgivings. It had been Lapino's idea to capture Zenobia. Lapino who'd guessed she'd run to the outpost. There was something wrong with the way none of Lapino's plans had gone wrong yet. It wasn't like him.
Let's go now.
They caught their breath. It's beautiful, she said, looking at the ruins. This used to be the library of Uvar, he said. Before your father's ravens smashed it. Do we have to talk politics? She asked. That's not how I want to remember you, she said with an odd, wistful look at her face. She was as beautiful as she'd ever been, and as brave. Lapino huffed. They got back on the trail. This would be the perfect place for a tic-tac-toe board. Didn't your mother tell you it's rude to stare? Snapped Renato, a little smug. The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. It was on fire. So far, so good. As they made their way to the secret rebel base, Renata felt strange. Zenobia was his prisoner, yet somehow she felt more like an old friend. He wanted to tell her all his secrets. Suddenly, the ruins lit up with thousands of fireworks. There was a thunderous roar and dust rose. The caves were collapsing. The caves! You've been playing me? Renato said, and he stared at Zenobia. I'm sorry, she said. She seemed almost embarrassed. Then, everything went dark. When Renato came to, he had a terrible headache. Also, Zenobia's sword was at his throat. And her shackles were gone. So was Lupino. The terrible thing is, he said, I really have missed you. Now that we've destroyed the rebellion, would you consider becoming an advisor to the Emperor's daughter? I'm no one's servant. Everybody serves. Even if it's only destiny. I like to choose my own destinies.
That line's kind of hard.
The whole point of a destiny is you can't choose. Never mind, she said. Look, if I see you again, I'll have to kill you. He watched her ship soar away. He would see her again, he decided. Even if he had to fight his way across the entire fleet.
I like to choose my own destiny. That's kind of hard, too.
The Imperial fleet was cleaning up the few rebel remnants. For only a moment, he thought about running. But heroes don't run, even when the world is against them. Even when their cause is hopeless, and their efforts futile, and pointless, and useless, and death painful, and guaranteed. He's decided to stop thinking for a while. Had that door been opened before?
I just like opening the chest, bro.
Renato's arm was sore, his armor wet with raven blood. He was tired of death. But death was not yet tired of him. The rebels were losing. Badly. In some other universe, Renato thought, he and Zenobia had left sword through school together, taken other names and sailed off into the mists. Not this Zenobia. Not him. For him, there was nothing to do but forge ahead. Kill the Emperor and end this. A very clever engineer named Elon Musk got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time. At last, he reached the Emperor's ship. Zenobia was there. Why'd you have to come back? She said, guess I'm just serving my destiny. He shrugged. You don't even know what that word means. She said, do you ever wonder if things have been different all the time? She said, and drew her sword. In the end, Bernardo lay bleeding out on the deck. Zenobia sat by his side, upset. What are you so upset about? He asked. You wouldn't understand. Why? Why didn't you tell me you were going to leave school? I was afraid you'd convince me not to. I guess I'll have to buy you a drink in the halls of the Valiant then, he told her. And then he was gone. Oh, again?
Okay, that end is not so bad
all
to
the
me.
secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. Ah, what was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Like, that one wasn't that bad.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again, faster than before, and he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Bernardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster.
Seriously, I'm saying I can't skip this.
He could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Bernardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
Okay, so I'm gonna see the other outcome
Bernardo
of that.
finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause. And maybe Bernardo could use that somehow. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled to Ravens? Someone needs a bath. People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Reynardo had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice. Swell. He'd always wanted to do that.
Level grinding in this game is going to be a huge thing.
There was still no sign of Lupino. Not a hair, not a pellet. Was he hiding in the cemetery further down the road? That didn't seem like him. Lupino would betray him. But now Reynardo knew that. What would Lupino do if he knew that Lupino was going to betray him? Well, he'd concoct a crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lupino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in space. Maybe he was overthinking this. Dirty and bloody, Reynardo finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Reynardo recked, we capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. That's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. It would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. Zenobia wasn't...
Maybe for my next stream I'll do a plus R live stream. Lab myself.
I have to admire.
Stream myself labbing plus R.
Reynardo shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Would he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. The city was burning, and there was no one to put out the fires. If somehow Zenobia survived her father and inherited his crown, what sort of empire would she be heir to? But he couldn't think about that, could he? Hero wall, hero sword, firewall, fire. Why was Lupino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lupino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lupino wanted. There must be some way to play on that, Reynardo thought. So, what's this
Plan.
plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Reynardo hiding inside a monstrous watermelon.
Who
What
fell
could
for this
possibly
toad?
go
Guy?
wrong?
I need to know.
Thought Reynardo.
They need to be fired if he didn't kill him.
Oh, this is gonna be fun, said Lupino.
Like they
as he
didn't
ran
kill
to
him.
go
They
set
need
up his
like
marvelous
if he
plan.
didn't die. Like if they didn't die, that dude needs to be fired. How this motherfucker is gonna tell you?
Goth is over. Renato felt dubious about the whole plan. With every step, he was waiting for it all to go horribly wrong. But against all odds, Lupino's idiotic plan worked. Zenobia's ravens ran off after the geese, the net dropped, and Renato jumped out of the watermelon and put his sword to Zenobia's throat. Renato, she said, are those new scars? They look good on you. You never returned my velvet jacket. She'd vanished from Swordfu school, from his life, without even saying goodbye. Without ever telling him she was the Emperor's adopted daughter. Renato was aware of her feelings. Maybe this was a bad idea, but was letting his own feelings get the better of him?
Okay, yeah. So that don't work. We gotta do this, right? Hold on. Right? Because there's another choice after this.
Ah, Lupino was right. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. If he ran, he could head her off before she reached her minions at the outpost. Well, he did love a good chase. There was an inscription on the platform. Balaleka lessons, with an address.
Y'all's reference to something that went over my head.
Sparkly, thought Renato. He was closing on her. He could smell her fear. He tried not to think about the interrogators at the secret base. What did they do to her? Maybe it didn't have to end that way. Maybe he could talk to her. But, after all, There were worse things the Imperials had done to friends of his. Renato reached the outpost. The Imperials there were no match for him. Soon after, Zenobia limped up the path. When she realized he was already in front of her, all the way back to the Farfair, Lapino nagged Renato about how the interrogators would pry all the intel out of Zenobia, how that would turn the tides in the imminent battle. All they had to do was take her to the rebel secret base. Renato didn't like to think about what the interrogators would do to her. Couldn't he just talk to her? As they pulled away from the Nexus, Renato could see the fear in Zenobia's eyes. I can't take her to those creatures at the base, he whispered to Lapino. Ah, you've gone soft. Soft in the head. We captured her for what she knows. I'll take her to the mountains. Tell all the horrible things the Emperor's done. Yeah, believe me. She'll turn. And he turned the wheel. The hell you will! Shouted Lapino, and he grabbed the wheel back from him. The two of them wrestled for control of the ship. It shot off like a mad sparrow. Suddenly, Renato was falling. When he came to, Zenobia was standing over him. Why didn't you take me to the base to be interrogated? She demanded. Do you know what's left of people they interrogate? This is some trick, isn't it? To make me fall for you again. Well, I won't. Oh, go on then. Scurry back to your ravens. I can't stop you. But strangely, she didn't. As Renato set off to find the Farfarer, she followed him, keeping just out of sight of the ravens.
I wish you had dialogue, man. That would have made... It wouldn't have added much. I would have liked to have some dialogue with Zenobia right there. Now I need to open some. Now I actually need to open some.
Good thing Renato didn't have vertigo.
I buried that. Okay, come on. I swear to God, I'll be paid.
As Renato stopped to sniff the wind, Zenobia came up, still mad. Did you really think you'd just talk me into betraying my father? Oh yeah, sure, that was exactly my plan. Then why aren't you even talking to me? Because I've never talked you into anything in my life. They're gonna court-martial you for letting me go. He caught a whiff of the Farfarer. Wet rope, tar, and a cask of Scobel ale he'd spilt last year. It was that way.
like how Zenobia is talking about him getting court-martialed like they still have a chance to win the war. Like, y'all still in this, but you can win. And if you win, you're just
oh, so delicious looking eyeballs. Caught the knee ravens. Thank you. I think, said Ronaldo. It never hurts to delight.
be on, niggas.
Kill the fox! Caught the ravens.
That did not sound like fox. That did not sound like Fox at all. I don't care. That didn't sound like Fox.
Taken Zenobia to the rebel base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secrets, he was regretting his suspicion.
I read that before.
When I build my castle, thought Bernardo, all my gates are going to open with buttons, and all the levers will drop rocks at your head.
That's a good way to be, Bernardo. That's actually a good way to be.
Sure enough, the Farfarer had crashed in some rocks. There's no sign of Lupino. Zenobia caught up. All that kid stuff in swordfish school, look, that's the past. We're adults now. We have duties to other people. We have destinies. What are you talking about? And you are the most arrogant, slow-witted, light-fingered, mercenary, immoral, reckless. Run away with me, said Ronaldo, and he realized he meant it. Just like that, she demanded. I will, if you will. So she kissed him. And it was the best kiss he'd ever had. They held hands as they boarded the Farfarer. Ronaldo felt light-hearted, like the winds that were playing the ringing like a balalaika. Lupino, I need to get back to Lupino, he said, suddenly realizing he could have been captured. A prisoner. He's not. How did you know? He saw something in her eyes he didn't understand. He fell, didn't he? Into the abyss. She looked away, wouldn't answer. But then a bolt smashed through the Farfarer's keel. The broken ship plummeted out of the clouds.
Renato picked himself off the deck. They were alive. "We have to get to my private ship," she said. "Do you trust me?" "I guess I must," he said. "You go on ahead. Clear the path," she said. "I can't kill my own soldiers." He wanted to say that he didn't trust her, that he had no idea what he was getting into. But he had no choice, did he? He was following his heart. That's what it means to be a hero. You had to follow your heart.
He is right.
Renato had a feeling that was the back door to something. But what? Paused to catch their breath. It was strange to be so close to her. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "I'm trying very hard not to think." "Me too," he said. Up ahead, he could see the thin silver of Zenobia's personal ship. It looked fast. They would leave all this behind. Something he'd seen in a play once. Was an inscription. No spitting.
I gotta spit right now. What they mean? Oh,
As they reached her ship, Renato suddenly felt a sharp pain in his stomach. He was surprised to see a crossbow bolt sticking out of it. "I was going to lead the Empire to a secret base," said Lapino. "But no, you had to screw up my plan because you still got a thing for her." Renato stared at Zenobia. The kiss, was it real? She said, with a look of indescribable sorrow. She gestured and said an arcane word, and Lapino went flying into the abyss, screaming, "I'm telling your father!" Then she knelt down to cradle his head, and her paws felt very soft and warm. Oh, again? But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake?
I still got so many to unlock, bro.
Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
I'll do one more.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again, faster than before, and he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage.
So one more time with this Lapino bullshit.
Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause, and maybe Renato could use that somehow.
I'll do this one and then I'll go play DFO.
Ah, Lapino.
I'll probably do this one to get some water and play some
apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen the winged horse. He'd only sold it. But
maybe should.
Wait, where was the prison? The village is empty. And had everybody fled the ravens? People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks past, Renato had sneaked through an empty town and listened to the ravens caw about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice. Renato looked around the empty village and reflected. The Sky Ripper had turned out to be far too dangerous to be used. Time to turn to what he knew best. What was behind that door? Renato's nose told him there was treasure there. They must have forgotten it in a hurry. Surely they wouldn't mind if he helped himself to it. After all, they wouldn't even know.
Didn't know that was uncommon. I thought that's funny. I might stream my DFO. I don't know. It kind of depends on that laptop too.
Lapino must be waiting at the end of the cemetery. Renato wanted badly to confront him for his treachery. But what good would that do him? Lapino would betray him. But now Renato knew that. What would Lapino do if he knew that Lapino was
So
going to
now I'm
betray
gonna
him?
reject Lapino's plan.
Well, he'd concoct some crazy scheme, wouldn't he? That used Lapino's betrayal against him and it would blow up in space. Maybe he was overthinking this. Well, that would be a first. Come on. One fox. Still waiting. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato, we capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows. And that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who happened to also be a deadly sorcerer, and his only daughter? That would be worth it. It would be nice to see her. He'd always had a soft spot for her. And he felt sure she had one for him. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
It must have great power. Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renato. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. Renato checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep.
I'll be mashing. I'll be mashing like a...
Why was Lapino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But she never knew how Lapino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lapino wanted. There must be someone to play on that, Renato thought. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lapino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lapino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better. said Lapino.
Man, got all this skill just because I don't want to jump out of a damn water.
That come in handy in a pinch. Renato slipped through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up in her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. Now I just wanted some privacy, Renato said. Renato knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just cut to the chase. But was timing right for that?
I feel like this would get me killed and make me have to replay the level, but fuck it.
I know how you feel about me, baby.
I'm finna die.
With me. Renato said, "What? The Emperor's evil, babe. I'm nice."
He said, babe,
Remember
right,
how
I'm
nice I
dead.
was back in school? You were an idiot in school. You said it was funny, said Renato, starting not to like how the conversation was going. The Emperor pulled me out of an alley. Don't tell me he's evil. Yeah, but did you ever wonder why? No, I didn't. Why don't you ask him? Well, because I know why. He wants to sacrifice you. You can tell him that when he interrogates you. Can't we just start this over? But Zenobia shut him in the hold of the ship. He had no one to explain anything to until he was brought to the Emperor's interrogators. After that, it's just screaming. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
I knew it.
The city was already under Zenobia's control.
Man, I'm glad these levels aren't that long.
Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Couldn't he really turn her over to them?
Bro, she
This
just
was
threw
war.
you to the interrogator.
It wasn't meant to be pretty.
Talking all throw it to the interrogator. She did that to you, motherfucker. You know, she loved you, but you gotta make her remember that first. Otherwise, she gets humiliated. I'm not gonna get tired of throwing them off this. I already know.
Why was Lapino urging him to capture Zenobia? Obviously it was a trap. But you never knew how Lapino thought. Sometimes his plans were so convoluted they did the exact opposite to what Lapino wanted. And there must be some way to play on that, Renato thought. Ha! Bet you never saw that coming.
So, what's this plan of yours?
Use me as bait, said Lupino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lupino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lupino. Renato slinked through Zenobia's ships, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bed. Now I just wanted some privacy, Renato said. Renato knew she still had feelings for him. Maybe he could just cut to the chase. But was timing right for that? Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? And he told her why. His Imperial Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him immortal. To seal the bargain, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. You're lying. She was furious. You can't prove that. I can. And so, they set sail for the Nexus. Scientists at the observatory have resurrected one of his victims. Well, he's not exactly alive, but he can talk, and he can't lie. You took a big risk. You know, I could just cast a spell to make you tell me where the rebel base is. And you wouldn't consider that cheating? She frowned. Oh, fine. Let's go get your witness. The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them. She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic? Why? Would you want to join in? Oh, no, I'd destroy his books and... All right, I suppose I wouldn't. She stopped, troubled. He ran on. Scientists on this island had been investigating the Emperor's dark ritual on their own. They were neutral in the civil war engulfing the Empire. but they could see that the dark magics the old toad had loosed were changing the world. Bernardo hoped he and Zenobia weren't putting them in danger. How far exactly did these things travel? There was an engraving. Maximum capacity, 130 people. The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had taken care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared around, shocked. The scientists had been neutral. They had no part in the rebellion. "Take me to your council," she said, shaken. "I have things to tell them." It was what Renato had gambled on. The Zenobia would turn against her father once she knew his madness. But the rebel base was secret. Could he really risk taking the Emperor's daughter there, even if she did love him? Renato reached Lupino by Farspeaker Toad.
Oh no.
"We should take her to the base," insisted Lupino. "No, I don't trust her. Nobody changes sides that fast," said Renato. "I better go to the base. Let them know you've got her," Lupino said. For some reason, Renato wasn't sure that was a good idea. "Just meet me at the far side of the mountains. There's a shuttle here I can take." "Always has to be your way, doesn't it?" said Lupino. Zenobia was still shaking as they got out. "I didn't know," she said. "The ravens kept it secret. At first they sacrificed prisoners, then villages near the frontier, and then an orphanage. Kittens, puppies. Sometimes he'd come back to the palace and it was like there were glowing things behind his eyes. They were so busy." "I'll clear a path for us," Renato told Zenobia, "so the ravens don't see you."
Tear came up as he massaged his sore arm. Her eyes were wet. He's been saying strange things. He asked me to do experiments somewhere wrong. They are banished, right? Said Renata. Gone forever. I mean, he couldn't actually bring the old gods back, could he? She didn't answer him. That frightened him more than anything.
God bless this pad, man. This pad been holding me down for I don't know how long now. I stopped using it for fighting games, so it's godlike for everything else.
Ravens didn't smell any better dead, I'd have thought.
Sorry, just money. I don't think about this for a second. Things be happening when people talk about strategy. I mumble a lot to myself.
Leverage, you could go anywhere. Taken to know the rebel base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secrets, he's regretting his suspicion. They came up on an empty shack. He gestured her in. "Where's the base?" she asked, confused. "I thought we could talk a bit first."
"Oh, you think I'm playing you?" She was furious. "I'm betraying my father who picked me out of an alley, and you think I'm playing you?"
She lashed out. Her claws sliced fire into his face. Energy boiled in her other paw. But before she could kill him, he slashed his sword into her heart. She staggered. "I could have loved you,"
You son of a bitch. And then she died. Renato stood there for hours, unable to move. Finally, a ship landed near. Pino had brought the Farfarer. On board the Farfarer, Pino couldn't stop grinning.
I can't believe you actually killed her.
Why couldn't I trust her? Renato said. All he could feel was emptiness.
You killed the Emperor's daughter.
You might want to run for it, if you care whether you live or die, that is. Since Renato didn't, he grabbed the wheel, and he sailed for the Imperial.
You go scared, nigga? I don't give a fuck.
Renato had never felt worth. Zenobia had listened to him. He trusted him. She'd opened her eyes to her father's evil. Done everything he had hoped for. He had taken her to a dirty shack. Was he so used to lying that he couldn't trust even the girl he had always loved? The port was heavily guarded. Let's go someplace they really didn't want it to go. See the rebels reeling back as he plunged into the ranks of the Ravens. He'd had to kill the girl he loved, but he'd also blown the biggest opportunity they could have had to turn the Emperor's daughter against him. Well, Renato could only laugh miserably. He was taking crazy chances now, swinging wildly. He expected the Ravens to take him at any moment, but they were running in fear. No one wants to fight a man who doesn't care if he lives. No one wants to fight a hero. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there? He was exhausted. Could barely think. He wanted to stop thinking. The rebels were already finished, and he was the last. The Ravens were coming for him personally now, in waves. It didn't matter. He was slick with his own blood. But it didn't matter. In the distance, he could see her, embraced by a halo of light, holding her hand out to him. Had she forgiven him? Would she take him to the halls of the Valiant? Then he felt steel in his belly, and his chest, and his back. And he lay down, and he couldn't see her anymore.
Oh, again?
He already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
Okay, so that's enough for now. Oh, I've played a good bit. Probably gonna get some seconds of dinner and probably play some DFO and watch the new JoJo trailer. So I'm gonna call it here. It was fun.